Okay, my outstanding friends, a thumb up, please. A thumb up. I need to get this information out. We need to start looking at this as a real thing. They do know now that there's all kinds of pockets inside the moon because it vibrated for almost an hour when they smashed a used satellite into it. And they came up with this as the only possible way that could have vibrated for almost an hour. I need a thumb up. Just hit the thumb up. That's all. Simple as that. And then, if you don't like it at the end, thumb me down. Okay, this is the source is quantum thought. And this is what the moon hides that we were never shown. And this is very, very good. This is an impact of a satellite that they had up there. Well, hold on, I'm going to let this play. All right, these are people on the moon setting up sensors to sense vibration and so forth on the moon. Now, listen to this.
Crew of Apollo 12 was finishing their mission and preparing to return home to Earth. The astronauts deliberately crashed the lunar module's ascent stage onto our satellite's surface. This was a planned experiment to test the seismic sensors from the previous lunar expedition. The impact's force was comparable to a ton of conventional explosives detonating at the surface. The impact occurred. Sensors registered the tremors, and that's how the story was meant to quietly end. But the tremors didn't stop, not after 5 minutes, nor 15, nor even longer. Seismographs at the American Space Agency continued to record vibrations for 55 minutes straight. The moon rang out, like a giant copper bell, suspended in the black void of cold space. One engineer later admitted a solid stone sphere could not vibrate like that. For such prolonged
All right, this is what they came up with. It had to be something similar to this. And I have shown it is. Now this is our moon, and I'm going to show you the other parts of our moon that tend to support this. Okay, this is quite obviously an artist's rendition, but this is based on what their best interpretation of the vibration is. 55 minutes, it rang like a bell. They just want you to see that there's a layering on top of this, and then there's a webbing inside of some sort. And I think I have shown what it is. And there's more than this that points to the fact of what it is. All right, this is what a tendon enthesis looks like. This is all scruffy little stuff in here, which is where meat collects in there. Basically, stuff grows into these little divots to hold it so that this thing can pull and this thing just never moves. That's what a tendon enthesis is. And here's one right here. It's called, I think this is Tetchus. And that's where this one stalk ripped off. And this is where the stalk ripped off of our moon. And these two here are the vein and the artery that service the moon or would service a tendon ball. Everything in your body needs a certain amount of nutrition and fluid exchanges and all that stuff. And this wrinkly stuff is basically just wrinkly stuff, same stuff. A ton of that is impacts from who knows what. Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with that. But this is not impacts from meteorites. And this is microscopic in us, very microscopic. Moon's not so microscopic. You know, I gotta be honest, I don't know if I showed you this yet or not, and I kind of think I didn't. This is a tendon enthesis, and this is the kind of cavities they have within inside of them. And if this was the moon, it would have a whole bunch of cavities. This is highly eroded. So they're saying the moon is structured similar to this inside, and I can understand that. That's possible. And they understand harmonics and vibrations and all that stuff. And this is what they came up with. Now you see that layer right up there? I think maybe I showed you this. I got confused here. I've been into a lot of things. that's basically the fleshy layer, and then there's a layer underneath that, which is the membrane. Surrounds it, nice smooth membrane. And the other one is yellow. So this out here is the fleshy part. See it all fleshy? And then you come right down to the membrane, which is like a rubber bag surrounding the tendon. And it got ripped off of here, and I think it got ripped off back this way. And but down inside is this kind of stuff. Maybe. That's a possibility. Okay, this is quantum thought again, and watch this.
Astound any attentive listener. Orbital satellites began scanning the moon with new generation radar in the early 2000s. And beneath its surface, they began to find something that absolutely should not be there. Long, straight tunnels, stretching for tens of kilometers deep into the lunar crust.
I asked Chat if this is all true, and it said yes. Now, if you believe Chat, that's fine. And these channels are literally everywhere. It's riddled with them.
Scientists called them lava tubes, explaining them as ancient volcanic activity on the young moon. In theory, active volcanoes once existed here, with magma flowing through crustal channels. Then volcanoes died out. Magma flowed out, and the channels cooled and emptied forever. This explanation seems logical, until we consider the true scale of these underground voids. Some tunnels reach half a kilometer in height, and their width exceeds a full kilometer. The length of some structures exceeds 40 kilometers, stretching almost perfectly straight beneath the crust. Manhattan, with all its skyscrapers, could easily fit inside just one of these lunar cavities.
This is stunning and very interesting. All right, I've shown there are some tendon enthesis that are built with these little cavities like this in there. And here's what they have to say about it.
This experiment was repeated in 1970 with the Apollo 13 crew and later missions. Each new strike produced the same incredibly long ringing instead of a short, fading response. Each time the result was the same, and each time it baffled researchers. More than half a century has passed, and there is still no official explanation.
Well, I just gave you the official explanation. Unless somebody wants to argue, this is a biological tendon enthesis. This is our moon. And I showed you where the stalk has been pulled right off. Okay, according to the way the vibrations went, they feel that it has to be constructed something like this, huge voids inside. Now, look at this. You see that layer right there? That's not an accident. There's a different substance on the outside, and then there is that layer, which I'm going to show you right now. This layer outside here is the fleshy area. And then you hit a very smooth area they call a mare. And then below that, there's a very thin layer of titanium. And then you go into this. All right, I'm going to tell you right now, I think this tendon enthesis is basically the same as this. And this shows where the stalk got ripped off. And when you say stalk, I say yes. There's a tendon enthesis stalk, and then you have the ball, which is in our bodies, and it anchors things so you can pull against them and they don't get ripped out. And they have all that little wrinkly stuff on there because that's how it grows into the body. And this does too. And this is Tetris, I think. Another moon. All right, so we've seen that. We've seen this webbing looking stuff inside of a tendon enthesis. And some of them are bigger, some of them are smaller. They come all kinds of different ways. Some of them are hollow inside, some of them are solid inside. It appears that we have this style. And I think this is from an aponeurosis tendon. And I'll show you why in a second. So don't forget, we got all the holes. We got all the webbing, which it's got stuff all filled in these holes. Maybe these holes, I don't know what to say about that. We know we got stalks ripped off, and this is where our stalk ripped off and left the exactly smooth layer of membrane. You see this wrinkled stuff? See how wrinkly that is? You see it? I'm going to show you another shot with a different sunshine on it. But you see how perfectly smooth that is? That's a membrane. That's just nice, smooth, right around membrane. And this was where the stalk central attachment was. And these are the blood and artery, the blood supplies. And it just popped right off. Now, this is the inner core, and there's a layer of titanium. I don't know how thick it is or not, but they do show. This is just a picture. This is not somebody drawing a sketch. This is basically a picture. And they claim these are the highlands, the red, which is the outside, and it's rusting because it's got iron in there, and iron is in blood, which that is outside, it was an edible surface. And I can show you that on Earth, they do get eaten. All right, it's crazy, but it is true. These little black balls are tough. They don't erode. The rest of the stuff, collagens, keratins, the collagens go right away. Anyway, this in us has all those balls. So you can move around and stretch and pull and do this and that, and you come back to where you're supposed to be. Now look at this. This is that. You see this? There's the skin. And here's all the tendon, the balls, and the little straps that hold them, so you can, the nice little plump areas. And here it is down here, is the exact same stuff. Now those balls were in these walls. So the inside there is all that strappy stuff. And as it erodes, the balls don't, they're tough. So they just lay down here. And the skin falls down, and this turns into the mud that the balls are laying in. Now, this one here, I'm pretty sure right there, is where a strap attached, because you can see the difference. And I've looked around, I've seen a couple other ones where it makes a little bit of a difference where they attach where the stalk was. Now, these are the Moki marbles. These right here, you see how puffy they are? These are the same balls as these, but they're going to be eaten, and then they'll turn into these. I'm not kidding you. I'll show you the facts. No question whatsoever what I'm saying is true. These balls are edible. They're not stromatolites that just start growing for no reason. They are balls coming out of these walls, and they end up like this after all the material gets eaten off it. I'll show you. The ones I just showed you are in salt water, and there's some kind of brown moss getting after them. Here, these fresh water, you see them? They're all getting eaten by the same moss. And they're everywhere. Mysterious things scientists can't explain. Well, I can explain it. It's the tendon enthesis that are in the skin of some gigantic creature. What it was, I don't know. But I have seen it sliced right in half, and there's a ball in the center, and all there's little green things growing in it, and they roll and keep growing. From underneath comes forward to grow, and then it goes under, and they all sort of go together. They've been studying that for 20 years. Now, if the moon is a tendon enthesis, which it is. That's exactly what it is. And that's where the stalk got ripped off. Just think of the size of the things that we're talking about. I've known about this for a while now. But it just, now it's so certain, it's just scary. Because now they have shown this just exactly what I said would be in there. It's all these craters and the webbing of a tendon. You know, I didn't necessarily know it was a webbing one, because there's other ones that are not webbed, but ours appears to be like this. And I would think, I'm starting to think this is from the aponeurosis style tendon, which rips at an angle, and I'll show you a shot of one. All right, I'm going to explain to you why I think this is aponeurosis. This is very cleanly ripped here, like it was ripped back this way and crunched up here, pulled to that direction, not pulled straight off, pulled in that direction. I would say, to me, that's what it looks like. Let me show you another shot. All right, so don't forget, this is our red oxide edible stuff, basically. And then the membrane is right below that, this yellow membrane. And then you get down to where the actual enthesis is, the structural outside. Now look at this carefully. The light planing across here, this is just like ripped away. It's almost like you pushed it away from there and ripped it away. It's not even like pulled away, where you'd have a rise. It's like ripped away. And this is piled up over here. Now, I also noticed that this right here looks to me like they're tendon enthesis. All right, they're the straps. And there's blocky looking stuff here. These three here, well, four actually, interest me. Because if it came over, well, I'll show you one in a human body, and then I'll show you another one, a huge one, that's on Earth here, but it's nothing like this. It's obviously nothing like the moon. But what my point being when I show you this is that this is all ripped all this way. It's all ripped in this direction. And this side here is just like pushed down here. So to me, I would go with the aponeurosis tendon, and I'll show you what they look like. All right, and of course they're microscopic, same thing. There's the cord coming down, and it goes right into the tendon enthesis ball, which happens to be ripped out of here. This is an injury. That ball should be implanted here. And they come right along in strips like this. And the walls down in South America, they just broke these strips off and cut slabs of tendon and made the walls. It's just crazy. Now, that ball inserted in here would be pulling this way. You follow me? And it would rip the coating off, similar to what we see on the moon. That's my interpretation. You see it pulled this way? That tendon was going over this way, and it pulled out and ripped out and left the ball floating around in space. That's where I'm going. Now, I told you this in us is microscopic. You see it? This is the ball, and it's supposed to be in that socket. Well, I got another one where this stuff stayed and the socket stuff eroded, and I'll show it to you. And it's here in Arches National Park. That's one of the straps. An aponeurosis tendon going to here. Now, if it pulled out, it would rip this way, and you're going to get this wrinkle coming here. It's just going to pull away and leave the ball. I don't know what else to say. It's what it is. And as far as I'm concerned, you can't convince me that it isn't, unless you can come up with some proof and you can't. This is another one of these that has broken away. These are not strong. The straps are flexible, so they're not going to be certainly not as strong as the ball. And there's the ball right here, I believe, or it's over here somewhere. There's a ton of them all over the place. This is biology. It's Arches National Park. This type of stuff right here. This is like muscle and different type of bodily tissue. It's very hard for these people to come to reality. Geologists are they're having a very difficult time with this, but it will come to light. See, this brings back memories. Sam Oswegowicz. There's the same as our moon, except this one pulls straight off, it looks like to me. I don't see any pulling this way or that way. Which they do. There's other tendons come down straight down, and that's it. And it would pop off straight off. And that's what he's got here, I believe. Now, other ones, like I just showed you, they wrap around, they come over here. When they rip off, you're going to get some kind of a wrinkle zone. Now, here's the down bottom core. Then you get right here. That's the membrane, just like the moon. And then this is the edible part above the membrane. And this is one of the first guys I saw talking about this stuff. And they've been around here since the Great Flood. So it's not something that's brand new. Or before that, I have no idea. It's something that we need to, well, I do have some ideas, but we need some research on this. We need to collectively research it. It's our history. It's our true history. It's not a joke.